normally they think like, role of an assistant coach for an ISL team, the head coach does everything. But then I just want you to share with us, what exactly the role of an assistant coach is, because, I'm sure like you must be having more load comparing to the head coaches.
Yeah, see what happens basically. The head coach is he has all the loads like managing. It's like just being a manager. He's just a manager who manages things. He manages players on and off the field. But our main role is as an assistant is going to be only on the field. It's less managing the players, but it's more on the field. You have to, like we discussed a day before, what has to be done the next day morning, and what is required for these players and what sort of exercises we have to do. So the execution is done by the assistant coaches. Especially when I was with John, there was another assistant, so I have to work with him. And when Boyle comes, we had another assistant, Sandy, with whom I have to work. So we set up all the things, we do all the things on the field. But being a manager, it's a difficult job. He has to take care of both, like being on the field and off. But as an assistant, it's more important that you work on the field. And inside the field, the challenges are more for the assistants. Like the players normally they behave very well when the head coach is there, but when the assistant is there, no, normally they be off, and because they come from a big background, and the players like Rice, the players like Roberto Carlos, all these are big players. It's very difficult to manage them, but that is where your standard of coaching comes into action. So you have to. That is where the real potential of an assistant coach comes out, and he has to show his. If he doesn't prove his point, then it becomes very difficult to be as an assistant inside that. And so all your talking is done by the manager, but the action is done by the assistant. And if your actions are not right, and they will not start respecting you. And if you don't get that respect from the players, then your practice goes whatever practice you have designed, it will be really like it goes waste. Like they will not listen to you, they will not perform what you want. So getting best out of the players is the big task for the assistant.
Mm-hmm. That's nice, because many of them think okay, assistant coach is just an easy job, but actually after you say like we really feel how much of pressure you are also taking the equivalent. So you were as a player and then you changed into a coach. So how was the transition period over there? Because as a player, you were a leading star over there and you had so many fans around. Of course, as a coach also, you really have so many fans, but still, that enjoyment to this, commitment there, the commitment is also there. But as a player, comparing to the player and coach, there is always a difference, right? So how did you manage this transition?
Yeah, see, being a player and a coach, both are both are held responsible, but the responsibility, how much responsibility you hold, where you hold the responsibility, there lies the difference between a coach and a player. The responsibility, like you are responsible only for yourself when you are as a player. Like you have to be responsible for yourself, for your game, for your actions on the field, how you pass, whether you are contributing to the team or not individually. That is more important. The individualism comes when you are as a player. Like even the team loses, you can see Aguero, like I give an example of top strikers like Ronaldo, Aguero. These people, they are not happy till they score a goal. They know that if they have not scored a goal, they have not done their duty. Even the team wins, but they smile. Even the team lose, they smile when they score, because they know that they have done their job. They have put on their responsibility. But one way I think the people may say that he's a selfish guy. He only thinks about himself. See, he wants to do his job. His job, when he gets on the field, has to score. The team wins, that is secondary part for him. Like team winning, team going on to places. That's all belong to the manager. It's all belong to the manager. The thing which belongs to a player is what he does. what are his roles and responsibilities? Does he understand that properly? Does he execute that properly? If he does that, that's fine. If Aguero scores 2 goals, even the Man City loses by 3 goals, then
So
Aguero is very happy.
just wanted to ask you, like, what are the challenges you normally face in being as a coach, like?
Yeah, that's what I was about to come.
Because you're dealing
Like
with
once,
more of professional players, comparing, and you also have an academy, right? So how are
yeah,
you? So you have coaches for your academy, Sabir Basha Academy, or how is it like?
yeah, like the first question, the previous question which you came, like being a coach and a player, like I just finished with the player. Like that is the responsibility of the player. But when you come as a coach, I think you have to take care of those 30 people whom you are going to deal with, and it is a huge, huge task. I always felt that being a player is much, much easier than being a coach. The mental pressure is so much. That is why you can see the top coaches, nobody has hair. Like if you take examples, there are many coaches who are without hair because of the responsibilities or the pressure they take on and off the field. No, it's not physical pressure, it's all about mental pressure, and that is more difficult to take than the physical pressure. So being a coach, you have to manage 30 people, you have to look after them, not only on the field, how they perform, how they do individually, but also off the field, whether they are behaving properly, whether they are carrying on the rules and regulations of the. If you go to the bigger teams, like even if you take in Chennai, like Chennai FC, there are a lot of protocols put on to the players. If the players go out of the protocols, the question is asked to the manager. They put on to the manager, they put on to the coaches, and they say, what you're doing, what is this guy doing, what is he doing off the field, have you not been monitoring him? This is what the question comes, and it is very difficult. In the biography I read when Ferguson, I have read his biography, he says that the more job he does on the field, he does thrice the job off the field. Like he tracks the players, he keeps on going with the players. Like so he knows where the player goes, because if there is 2 to 3 days after that there is a big match for them, then he keeps tracking the players. He sees them where the partying is going on, whether they are in the party, and he goes to all the bars. He goes to all the bars seeking for the players, whether they are there, are they partying, and he goes to the houses surprisingly, and he catches many players taking drinks and other things. And in that way, I think Ferguson is very big successful man. So he keeps these players on and off the field fit, and he only tells those players to think about Man U and not even about their family. That is how he was, and I think that is what the results he has brought for this past 20 years. The 2 decades he has been ruling the English Premier League, I think just because of that. And for the second question which you asked, like what about how I do with the academy, being a professional, like the academy is a different aspect. It's quite a different aspect when it comes to academy. I think that is the question you asked, Kalpana.
Yeah, and see, like the great goals, I just read about them that they were telling that they started the academy just for the sake of the son. So have you started your academy for your sons, or is it like, how was the academy born? What was the idea behind starting your own academy?
Yeah, I think it's
Because
quite
you
similar
are
to.
very young. You are really
Yeah,
very
yeah,
young,
yeah.
and you had
It
lot
was.
of things to do.
Now,
Yeah.
frankly speaking, I think I'll go by great goals. Like I took my 2 sons to train when I was playing. So
Okay.
when I was playing, when I was in my like it was my prime time when my children were like 2 3 years. So I take them to the ground. I teach them. So what happened, by seeing that many people want to join, like it was not a plan of an academy. When I started teaching my boys, like to take them, show them, somebody gets impressed, and some friends of mine get impressed. Then they started coming. So that is how this academy was formed. There was no mind of me to start an academy while I was playing. But suddenly I saw there were a lot of group of children. Then it was difficult for me. Then I thought that I have to involve some coaches, got in some coaches, and that is how the academy started.
Now your academy is doing really very well, right? And so what is the age group that you have? Do you participate in the I-Leagues and something, so that the viewers also are more interested, so they could also come back to your academy and to join?
See, like I have a being in the I League and doing that I League, really, what happens. It becomes for me. I feel that it becomes to make only those players. You make only those players who are fit enough to play in the I League. So what happens? You just concentrate on them, and you lose the other boys, and it becomes very difficult. If you are see, development is one part, and the other part is participating in the tournaments. I League is for the players who are established themselves. See, they thought they're still a child. 12, 13 years. For me, he's not a child. 12, 13 years, he should have learnt everything. If you're a real coach, you should have taught him most of the things so that he becomes. Because in Europe, if you see a 13-year boy or a 14-year boy, he's a real professional. He's not a child. He knows everything, what he has to do in his position, what he has to play. So till the 15 or 16 years, they learn everything in Europe. That is a mistake we do. We still think that 12, 13 years is very young for a child. It is not like that. So when it comes 12, 13 years, and these I Leagues are like for that under 14, under 16, and under 18. What happens if you get into those I Leagues? Then you get into the competitive mode. And once you become competitive, what happens? Like, you have to play only the good children. You can't concentrate on those children who are coming and believing you and coming every day and day out. So what we do is, in our academy, there are a lot of I League teams who have come, who are helping us. Like, rather we are helping them and they are also helping us. Like how they keep running it. We thank them for that. And what we do is, we keep concentrating, we keep producing, and most importantly, what happens? The best cream goes to Chennai FC, naturally, because we are there. So, and the other boys who can't make it to Chennai FC to that standard, because we are very fair enough. We are very straightforward. Whoever looks fit for us, whoever thinks that he will make the grade, then we will select him. Let it be in my academy or let it be in any other academy. So, yeah. But if my boy can make that grade from my academy, then I'll be the happiest one. So what happens? If he makes that grade, we take him. If not, what we do? We send them to all the other academies. We send them for the selections for all the academies, and there they select our boys, and our boys are scattered everywhere. And I feel happy, like when I go to watch Chennai FC playing under 13, I see in the opponent side, my academy boys 3-4 are playing. So I feel very happy. And when we play like that, parents are very hesitated. I say, please encourage your child, because we know that he's our boy. So in that way, our hand is everywhere. So I like to see Chennai FC is there to be competitive. That's enough. Like, again, if I be competitive with my academy, then there is no point. So in our academy, the point is like development, and when it goes to Chennai FC, it is competition.
And there is also a question from Girish Desai. So when we were talking about Sabir Pasha's academy, so he had a question raised. How do you convince the parents against the academy? Because most of the parents encourage the children only to go into the academies. So how do we convince them to say that even sports is also important?
See, when I speak to my, I will give the example which I do to the children. Like, they come to me, they bring their children, and they approach me and say, "Sir, my boy is very interested." And they in cricket, they say that every boy wants to become Sachin Tendulkar. That's how the parents are. So when they bring, they think that he has to become Messi. So it's quite difficult for the coach, but the coach has to be sensible in explaining them that the effort will be there from the coach side, but the most of the things are required for the child. And the most important part which we have to convince them taking on sports is, tell them that in life they have to be fit, whatever it is. They become Messi or they don't become. But the most important part is keeping fit. I give them examples about children getting obesity at the age of 16 years, 17 years. You can see children at high schools. You can see children at primary school. The obesity they carry in school because they keep sitting before the laptop, before the mobile, and they keep seeing it. They keep playing. I asked one child, what are you doing? I'm playing every day, sir. Where are you playing? I play football in the laptop. That is how the answer is. So this is how the children are. So you have to educate the parents. That's most important. That's a difficult job which the coach, especially the academy coach, has. So he has to say that, sir, he becomes Messi or not, he has to be fit in life. If he has fit in life, he can achieve many things. And then once he becomes fit, and once he concentrate on that, then we can think about the bigger things. So give them a small goal. Don't give them the big goals. Don't tell them once he comes, you don't tell them, sir, he's very skillful. I've seen very young coaches, they get like motivated and they say, sir, your child will become this. Your child will become this. It's not like that. It's not like that. I have seen, if you take an example of Japan Academy like Arata, Arata Izumi is not this fellow, Nakata was there. He's a big player. He played for the World Cup and he played in the German league. What happened? Like, he was not at all a player when he was in under 13. He was rejected. When 15 he came, he was rejected from the JFA Academy. And then when he came to 18, they rejected him. But suddenly, at the age of 20, he became one of the best players. So, you cannot write off anybody. The same way you cannot say anybody to the big extent. You have to be straightforward to the parents. You have to speak the truth to the parents, whether they accept or not. I know that you will be losing one or two childs, but don't worry about it. There will be a lot who will be coming on. So worrying about one or two, you speak the false, you speak lies. What happens in future? They will question you. What, sir, you said like this, he doesn't have this quality, he doesn't have that. Now you are telling me that he lacks on this. So be precise in what you speak to the parents. Be straightforward to them. Tell them the truth that basically the fitness comes, which is good for his life. And then we can see once it reaches that, then we can see, I can tell you at certain point, you can fix a goal like, sir, you bring for 2-3 years, he has to come. If he's a young child, you can say 2-3 years I have to see him.
And I think you have been a good batsman also, as well as a striker also. So how did you, just choose into the football alone? Because, as a batsman, I'm sure many of the clubs were behind you, asking you to come and do batting for them. And we have read in the papers also about you scoring centuries over there. So, and how did you select football over cricket?
See, if you ask this question, like, it is, if it started from the school. See, what happened, that one way it helped us. It helped us to grow as a good sportsman. Like, what happened in our school, there are very less players, a sports person. Like every other school, my school is also very strict in academics. Like, they want to get marks. If you don't get marks, then they'll throw you out. So for them, education comes first and then sports. Sports is nowhere for them. So what happens, we had a bunch of boys. There were around, in my school, there were around only 12 to 14 boys who play all sports. We like sports and we don't like the classrooms. So what happens, any zonal meet comes, we used to go, for table tennis we go, for shuttlecock the same 2 will go, for football the same 2 will go, for hockey the same 2 will go. That is how in us many sports got accumulated, and that is how the cricket came into a picture. Like, we used to go for school matches through cricket, and I remember that we're going to Don Bosco once. We have to play a match against Don Bosco. Don Bosco was a very strong side. They have a very professional side. In nowadays, there were a lot of players who are now represented Ranji trophies from that school. They had a very good cream of cricket team. But what they do is, in a tournament they conduct every year, the first match they used to put with a weaker team to start good. Like, normally in every home team does that. So what they did, they put our team, and naturally our team is 12 bunch of boys who don't have that much of practice. We used to play all sports. We are not professionals. We went there and we started playing. And what happens, it's a very small court. You could have seen in Don Bosco, it's a very small ground.
Yeah.
And we played 30 overs there. They scored around 240. And what happened, we chased them. We chased them 235. They were really panicking. They thought, which school we have put. Because our boys doesn't have any sort of pressure on them. We play. And in that, what happened, I and my brother scored, I scored a century and my brother scored 70-80 runs. and that is how we came into the state team also. And from that now, some selector spotted us and he told you have to come for the trials, and that is how the cricket picked up. And I was fortunate enough to play for under 15 state and under 19 state for in cricket. But once football, no, I represented football in the 19 years of age, 20 years of age. Then I played for league, second division for more than 25 years. I was in cricket with the league teams, and that is how it started for us. Like that school made us to play all those things.
Yeah, so talking about being a batsman and being a striker, so what are the qualities that one has to develop to become a good striker? Because, as everybody says, the striker is very less in India. So, how can one develop themselves to become as a striker?
It's basically becoming shameless, I will say. Like if you want to become a good striker, you have to be shameless. Shameless means you should not take any sort of a pressure. If the more of the pressure you take, you can't be a good striker, because being a good striker, what happens, like you miss many goals, you score many goals, but if you keep thinking about the goals you miss, then you can't be a good striker. That is the first quality a striker needs. I can give you an example of Chennai FC. What happened last year? Like Wolski became the star player. But initially our season was not going good, and you know that what Wolski did when he gets a penalty, he misses a penalty, and I have seen him on that day. Wolski, I seen his reaction. He came back to the hotel. In nowadays, like when that's the mistake I have also done. I can accept it. Like all the Indians do. That is where we lack. Like we miss a penalty. Like we can't show our face to the team, and we regret ourselves. We don't eat that night, and we think that we have missed a big chance. He comes. He coolly gets into the kitchen. He eats what he wants. He speaks to everybody normally, and he promised that he will do better in the coming matches. And that is how we take it. That is how a big striker comes out. First thing is you should know how to handle pressure. It's all the position it comes, but in mostly being as a goalkeeper and the striker. This is the most important part, and here you have to be fearless as well as shameless. Like there will be a lot of scolding coming on you, a lot of people telling you, a lot of bad words coming at you, but you should never care. Many reporters will write bad about you if you miss. I have done that. If I would have cared, I would have stopped playing. Like in a match, I remember one match in playing in Chennai League, like for Indian Bank. I missed the first 3 goals. Those 3 were sitters, and it was difficult. Like people thought that what's happening, and after second half, I scored next 3. I scored a hat trick. So if a striker boggles to all those things, I think he cannot be. The talent lies in everywhere. The pressure you can take. That's what our boys, like what I say to our strikers now. The AFF also speaks. All the coaches speaks that they say that we are not able to produce strikers. There is talent. But what I have seen in these boys is, I used to keep telling in my Chennai FC when I meet my young strikers who come into Chennai FC. I'm not talking about under 18. I'm talking about the main team. I used to talk to my strikers. I can't take the name but what I say to them is, in the practice sessions, they succumb to the foreign players. We say that the foreign players, they come, they take the place, and the Indians are not played. They keep cursing the coaches, the foreign coaches who come. They keep cursing the foreign players, lessen the foreign players. But in nowadays, there were foreign players playing. For Indian Bank, there were foreign players who have come. For Mohun Bagan, there had foreign players. For East Bengal, there was foreign players. But how come Baichung Bhutia played in the 11? How come IM Vijayan played in the 11? How come Jopal Ancheri played in the 11? They were mentally strong. They wanted to prove a point. You bring one player, I will show I'm better than you. That attitude is missing nowadays. That attitude is missing in our strikers. There is talent. There is power. I can see that even in the daily training sessions happening in Chennai FC for the senior team. What these boys do is, they think, oh, Wolski is playing, he only should score. I should not score. Like they go into the goal and they miss one ball, they start passing. They never go for that glory. They never do that. But Volsky never gives the ball. He misses 3 times. He will try to finish it for the 4th time, and he takes the blame. That is what has to come to these youngsters. I think for the youngsters and all the academy coaches, anybody you see as a striker personality, please make him mentally tough. That is most important for a striker and for the goalkeeper. These are the two positions which are really very dangerous in football. Who can easily, if you are not mentally tough, psychologically you have to work on them. If you don't work on them psychologically, then they are gone. So the talent is there in India. I have seen many talents in India, but unfortunately this is missing. You become mentally strong, you'll be a good striker.
Says like, don't you feel that being the coach of the Tamil Nadu runners-up team in Santosh Trophy, still your mission is incomplete towards the Tamil Nadu Football Association football team?
100%, right? 100%. We have touched our nerves. Yeah, like we missed a chance. But we were very close. Very close. But I should have finished off there itself. But still, that thing lies. But unfortunately, the things happening in Tamil Nadu are not right, and we are not having our league going on. It's very unfortunate. Things are not lying on the part. We have to see once it gets all right. Like as he asked, my part is not finished when it comes to Tamil Nadu, and it will never finish. Even when we win, we never finish. We have to keep because Tamil Nadu has given us everything. We have been from Tamil Nadu. I have never left Tamil Nadu. I have never gone to any Bengal team, or I have been in Tamil Nadu for all my years as a coach, as a player. So Tamil Nadu has got me. So I cannot forget that. My services for Tamil Nadu is always there, and it is my duty to do that. But only thing which I ask the association is like my ways will be really difficult, and Tamil Nadu association has to take that. Like what I have done when I took the team was I have put many things into place. I said that I need my team. I will pick my team. Nobody has to come. I don't know whether they will accept or not this time. Then I said I need this type of a ground to practice, this type of a gym. I don't know whether they will give issue again to me like that or not. And I don't want them to. If I have to take the blame, I will take the blame. If the team doesn't do well, you throw me out. That is not a problem. But whatever I was said, please follow to that. And I think that was given to me at that point of time. And the president of that time, Mr. Seenu Moideen, really helped me. Like he really cooperated. There was a difficult time for him, which I gave him because he wanted me to take the team, but I gave him a very difficult time. I said, this is what I want, and nobody has to interfere. And he kept his promise till the last minute, and you can see the results which has come. But if they accept to all this, I think we can also do that. We can do that. But only thing is, it has to be done rightfully. It has to be done without any interference. There should not be any sort of recommendations coming in. Then I think why not? We can keep going.
So moving on to the CFC movements that you shared with us. So how do you look forward for the future development in CFC? Like for the youth development I'm talking about.
See, our process is all about like graduating boys from step to step. That is our most important motive. Like we don't spare in our selection process. We never spare anything. And even after doing right things, there will be some sort of questions coming out. But I think we are very clear in taking the players. We will take only players whom we feel that they will make to the ISL. That is our one and only criteria and one and only eye on the player. The eye on the player is not he's talented, he can, but our only aim is to see that when we select a boy, even at the age of 13, we select with a motive that he represents ISL. And how many people represent? That is the challenge with the coach. And that is the first criteria we set for any selection. And what we do is, like, we are trying to put these boys into such a competition level that they play. We want nearly 40 matches for these boys to be played, and we are finding it difficult to give them. But somehow we are improving every year, because For 13, we are able to give 40 more than 40 matches. But unfortunately, 13 and 15 we are able to give, but 18 or reserve team, it's very difficult to get matches. They lie in the middle area, and to get tournaments for them, it's very difficult. And I don't think that till they play some competitive matches, see how come players like Tapa or Jerry or Rahim Ali or Deepak Tangri, these people have come because you know them as players who have been selected by Chennai FC, but we have seen their background. They have come with some 60 to 70 international matches in their bag. You can see them in their youth development playing for the country. They have represented around 60 to 70 times. Even then, after coming to ISL, even after having so much of exposure, when they are lacking to play in the ISL, you see the sort of exposure we have to give to these boys. It's a very huge task, Hercules task, but I think we are trying to get them matches, we are trying to get them exposures, we are showing them the pathway. Hope it accumulates and we get these boys. Our only aim is to see them play ISL. I'll be the happiest person if all the lots of 13, 15, 18, they go and represent my team. I want to see the cream of these boys one day represent the batch of Chennai FC and lift the ISL trophy. That will be our real goal.
I think our call got disconnected by Sudhakar's question. We were discussing about the team B of Chennai FC. So he was asking how they are motivated and what do they play and all that. The B team he's talking about. So which type of competition are they aiming at? So that is what he's been asking.
See, the highest competition in India is like playing in the I-League, which the AFF conducts. That is where you can see all the cream of youth comes and plays. And that is where the national team is also getting selected. Most of the selectors, they come and watch the I-League, and from there they select. So the cream of football lies not in those. I will also rate those state tournaments. We also, what we do is, we also give a chance for them if Tamil Nadu calls them. If Tamil Nadu wants them, we leave them because they get some matches into that. But the competition really lies in the I-League. The cream of football lies in I-League. So they play the I-League, but I think that's not enough. They need more matches. I think more competitions have to come in. More sorts of private tournaments have to come in. It should be of the standard which I-League conducts. And if these boys get around 60 matches per year of that standard, of the I-League standard, I think they will reach some level. That is where we lack. We are not able to give them those type of quality matches for these boys. The training is good. We are giving them the facility is good. We are able to the facilities, the ground conditions, everything are getting better for them when they come to Chennai FC. All that standard of the level of that facilities are growing up. But only thing we lack is giving them matches. I think once we get those matches to them, once we get that exposure to them, I think it is not long way for them to be part of ISL.
Yes, thank you so much for being with us in this football corner of the Sports Minute. And last season, we had our Bimal Ghosh as our guest over here, and he gave one punch dialogue. He said, the coaches, there are so many webinars happening. The coaches might be following it, but what we put into action in the field matters a lot. And that was the main capture of the program. So as there are so many webinars, and thank you so much for taking your time out and coming after your office hours and spending with us for more than an hour over here. And I think this was the longest discussion that we had, which is really very motivating for us. So thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you, Kalpana. Thank you, everybody.